Everybody got their speaker on? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Village of Ruidoso workshop meeting. It's November 2nd, 8 a.m. And if you'll stand and join me for a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, thank you, everyone. And we still have a little construction going on in the background. And so if you hear some knocking and banging around, that's what it is. We've asked them to subside, and hopefully they will. And we have a new employee. Stand up in the back there, Tim. There you go. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tim Roberts. I'm going to be managing the Convention Center and the Wingfield House Museum and radio station moving forward. So I'm very excited to be here. I came most recently from the state of New Mexico. I was the deputy director for all of the New Mexico State historic sites, but I was based here in Lincoln County for the last 5 years. So I'm excited to be able to contribute in a positive way to the community that my family has come to love, and we're just happy we can stay in Lincoln County. So,
We're glad to have you, Tim. Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And everybody met the assistant chief, I know, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, he's still around, so we didn't run him off yet. So we'll have a roll call. What's today, Ron?
Today is election day, Mayor.
Attaboy.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So,
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Crawford,
Here?
Councilor Salas,
Here.
Councilor Letterman,
Here.
Councilor Eby,
Here.
Councilor Cornelius,
Here.
Councilor Jackson,
Here.
Attaboy.
and Councilor Coughlin will be absent today. So, we have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ron. We have a few agenda items that we're considering. There will be no decisions made today except for are they on consent or regular items. So this is just a way that the councilors get some information on what's happening so they can ask for additional information. We'll have staff that will be enlightening us to some of the finer points. Item number 1 is discussion and agreement with Cutler Paving, Inc. through the New Mexico statewide price agreement number 90-805-19-16759 for pavement resurfacing and curb line milling on Gavilan Canyon Road, Warrior Drive, and Paradise Canyon Road in the amount of $3,225,278.47, including gross receipts tax. And here to bring us up to speed on this is going to be Sam, or is that Ron?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, this agreement here with Cutler, what we will do is provide a notice of award, and we will be issuing a notice to proceed in the springtime when the weather is satisfactory to do the work. That we need to have this agreement secured per the grant agreement, so we'll just move forward with this and we'll get them lined up and get the project going, and then we'll inform the council on the status of when the notice of proceed will be issued and the timeline on their project. So we're very excited about getting this executed and moving forward.
Okay, because the village share in this is 5% or $175,000. The county's portion would be $75,000. All right, any comments, suggestions, want it on regular or consent?
Regular. Yeah.
Regular item. Okay, Ron, regular item. Item number 2, discussion on New Mexico Mutual Aid and Assistance Agreement for the Ruidoso Joint Utility to join the Water Wastewater Agency Response Network, NM Warren. Mr. Boyda.
Mayor Crawford, councilors, I'm Eric Boyda, the Water Resource Director. So today I'm presenting an agreement to join the New Mexico WARN. And so all throughout the United States, there's various state groups under the WARN network. And basically what this does is it gives us a unified agreement that we can respond or request response to emergencies, whether natural or man-made, to assist other utilities in emergency response. And so the provisions of this agreement just basically dictate how staffing would be reimbursed. Equipment is reimbursed based off of FEMA approved and established rates per hour for equipment. And it gives basically it's saying that you'll reimburse staff based off of their utilities pay rates. So there's no money to actually join the network, and it's our decision to either request or respond to an incident. It's voluntary in that nature. But this is just going to build us some resiliency. So in case if we have any type of natural disaster or staffing shortages or sickness, we'll be able to get appropriately certified operators and other equipment to help us make repairs.
Okay, and then to work with reimbursements and follow-up plans, is that what you're saying with FEMA?
No, so the agreement that's attached to the agenda dictates how all that would be.
Well, it says not limited to fire explosions, but they will help with negotiating with FEMA or talking to FEMA or?
No.
No.
No, this is just us establishing an agreement with all the other utilities in the New Mexico WARN that establishes those rates.
Mayor, Eric, I think the question is if this contractor works for us and then it's a FEMA recovery, then their cost would be reimbursable.
Yes.
So-
That comes from FEMA, so
Yes.
they get in the mix on that, and so instead of us having to go to, it's already established with FEMA.
No, so, I mean, that would be a separate thing. So this would, if we were to pay for having an operator come to here, that could be a reimbursable expense, but it would still be processed through us as a government entity, and New Mexico WARN wouldn't, get paid from FEMA to reimburse for this.
Okay. Yes, sir.
How many of our neighboring communities are in this program?
Quite a few.
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Cornelius. At this time, there's not any of the other utilities that are in the county. And so the process that utilities are going through right now with the emergency response planning for water utilities required by the EPA, the EPA is really pushing for entities to join this New Mexico WARN. So I'll be reaching out to utilities to encourage them to do it. But if they're requesting assistance from us, we'll probably push them towards getting an agreement like this so that we can just have the rates established and it's easier for us to respond to their requests.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them look northern,
Yeah, Doniana is
and then you got
it's
Anthony,
close.
Columbus, Las Vegas.
And some of those,
On.
some of those utilities elsewhere, none of the other utilities in the county treat surface water. And so, if we needed assistance at our surface water treatment plants, we would want to bring somebody from another surface water treatment plant,
Yeah.
not just someone who's using and operating wells.
Right.
Okay, where do you want it?
It'd be good for regular so we could discuss our, efforts of
Okay,
improving our emergency for water and stuff. That way Eric could give us another spill on there and
okay, Ron, regular item. Item number 3, thank you, Eric. A discussion on tourism director. And I know this went before the, come on up. This went before the Logistech Committee and was approved. So, yes, ma'am, Cheryl?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This position is a new position for the village. It's historically been contracted. It is not a budgeted position at this time.
Excuse me, could we have the speaker on?
Oh, no.
Hit your speaker. Thanks. Yeah, there you go,
There it is.
screen. Thanks, Gary. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
So this is not a budgeted position at this time. And if approved, any additional funds would have to come from the personnel budget. It's going to be a pay band 85, which is a manager position, although it will be titled a tourism director just because that's
Customary in the industry.
correct.
And does this come out of general fund
Yes.
money?
And it'll report directly to the village manager.
I'd say regular item.
Regular item?
Yeah, I think so too.
Mayor and council, on this one, Judy did do a feasibility study comparing the admin fees coming from lodger's tax and what they're utilized for, and to show that there is capacity to cover those costs. And then in addition to that, right now, the lodger's tax admin fee is only at 5%. We're allowed to go up to 10. But with the increase that we've seen in lodger's tax, the current administrative fees are sufficient to cover it. Correct, Judy?
Okay.
And then what if one of these years it's not, then the village, it would come out of?
We could manage that, we could change that. And again, we're dependent, I don't know if everybody got their Ruidoso Insider newsletter. Tim did a great job explaining where our revenues come from on GRT, which is related closely to lodger's tax.
Yep.
So, as long as the economy does well, that shouldn't be an issue, but just the strength of our overall lodger's tax collections, it should be more than sufficient in any case. Now then, one of the reasons that this position was put as direct to the village manager was that we know Rodney's got plenty of things that he's doing, and we're trying to keep, the span of control down into a manageable field, and so, but Tim felt like that he had, he could be able to work with this individual. And of course, the criteria for this position was we had a panel that put together these requirements, what they felt, the people that work in the industry, other contractors and whatnot, they put together a list of things that they felt were important for this job profile. So, regular item?
Mayor, just one other thing on this, if you do look at the org chart that was presented, the changes on that do include the convention center position reporting directly to me as well.
Right.
And, my intent on managing some of those that work together is having them work more as a team, so I'm not concerned about the span of control of having to work with them. And then at that level, the manager and director level, with their technical expertise, they should be able to, produce a lot on their own compared to, the span of control compared to a lower ranking employee like a supervisor that may need a little bit more guidance.
Because we've learned over the years that the convention center management position had more free time and could be utilized with that capacity of that type of an individual could be more productive. So that's Tim's job. And then, so now then we're looking at tourism, which has changed considerably over the last years. I remember when we split that position up to data collection and because of social media and whatnot. And so we still have that data collection system set in place. So anyway, I appreciate the panel that was put in there. I don't really know who all was on it, but I appreciate the people that gave their time to come up with that.
So, for clarification again, if I understood, so lodger's tax money isn't going to pay for this position, it's coming out of general fund money?
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, Councilor, just to be a little bit more specific on that, the admin fees that come from lodger's tax goes into general.
Okay,
General
so
fund.
that,
Okay.
Yes, and
so
that's-
that out of that 5% that we
Yes.
put in there, and then, so that's why you were mentioning up to 10% we could go, but right now with the revenues there, so in the future, if we do need to bump that to 7%.
Right.
We could do that.
And we were approached by the chairman of the lodgers tax in that group, and they they know this as well, and they actually approached us and said that if we were to ask, they would approve that.
Okay.
But after, Tim, we looked at the evaluation on just what we were receiving and was it necessary and was that the best use of funds, and it was determined that we didn't really need it at this time, so.
Okay.
We didn't take that, and that can be put back more into the, projects and things that they do. So,
And this org chart, Tim, is new, right? Or added to our personnel?
Mayor, Counselor, it's revised, is what I would say. We had the
Okay.
original one that was approved during our strategic planning. And then, so the only revisions that occurred on this is moving
Because the village
the convention center
is to you.
manager and the tourism director
So good, Tim.
under the village manager.
Okay,
well, and the one question that he has, and I agree with, that with the double duty that Ron has of deputy manager and village clerk, the village clerk reports to the mayor.
yeah, that's what I questioned on
So-
that, because that's an appointed position that should be under the mayor. I could see the deputy manager being under you, Tim, but
We can put a,
Another little line.
little line arrow or something there,
but
because
orange or green or yellow, whatever that is.
by state,
Yeah.
Yeah,
state
Mandate.
mandate
Or-
or code or
yeah.
whatever state law that will go on that. And then, Tim, again, because I always get confused or I forget, the difference between a manager and a director.
The director manages, several different functions, like.
So like Rodney, because he
Yes.
does cemetery, senior citizens, keep Ruidoso beautiful, or is all of that
Community center and, yes,
versus where
each one
the
function.
librarian, Denise, just does the library.
Yes,
So that's the difference between, because like Jerry's, okay, yeah, he's a manager. Adam has more, okay, now I'm starting to get it.
yeah. And traditionally, they called, in the industry, practice is to call it a tourism director.
Right,
So it's, by title, a director position, but we describe in the job description that it's a manager.
it's a manager's,
position.
okay,
Good. Hey, you're not going anywhere.
Okay.
You have the next one.
yeah.
Discussion on fire pay plan for recruiting and retention purposes, Cheryl. And, this was brought to our attention that we've lost several of our EMS and whatnot, and that we need to be more competitive with the first responders. So go ahead.
That's right. So we have lost several highly qualified firefighters really over the last year. We did recently get approved the pay plan for the general employees and the police employees, and we did not visit the fire plan at that time. Our recommendation to be more attractive when we post the positions is to bring in those entry-level positions at 13, where we're currently at 1183. And then what that would do is there would be a bump. We would have to adjust every employee to be in the appropriate step that they're in. Those would jump up a little bit.
Mayor, if I may, Cheryl, before you go on, there's two factors that we considered when we look at that. And, one of the factors is the minimum wage and where it's going to be going in the next couple of years. And then in addition to that, I also had Cassandra and Cheryl reach out and do a short survey of other similar type size communities and then communities that are in close proximity that have similar type services. So they got information from Carlsbad, Artesia, I believe, Roswell, Alamogordo, Las Vegas, and Portales. And so that's kind of looking at the industry standard. That's where we came up with the proposed 13 as an entry level. But as you look at our pay plan, we're also, in those first 5 years, kind of mirroring what we did in the police department, of getting aggressive with the advanced trainings that they get. And it moves from 6, 7, and 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8, compared to just a 4% across the board. so that as you get to the middle, you're really getting aggressive to retain those officers.
So Cheryl, I know for some of us, it gets a little difficult to understand how firemen gets paid. So would you do a short explanation on, how much they work, what they have off, how this works?
So a regular employee works 2,080 hours in a year. Fire works 2,756, and that's standard across all fire departments. Some departments may work a 24/48, 24 on, 48 off, and some may work a 48 on, 96 off like we do. But standard, it's 2,756 hours.
And they have a mandatory of how many hours of overtime?
14.
14 a pay period.
Correct.
Okay. And so the net effect to our general fund budget, we would have to increase about $100,000 a year to meet this requirement.
Mayor, after we looked at it and we looked at the lieutenant and captain level positions as well, the conversation I had with you was 100,000, that was just the officers.
Officers.
I mean, it takes us to right about 140 to 150.
A net impact on them.
Correct.
What does the outgoing AC have to say? Without the mustache, man, I didn't even recognize that.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, we've lost 5 people in our fire department, and all of those, one of them was an officer, he was a lieutenant, and he left for health reasons. But the others of those were 5, 6, 7-year folks that were probably gonna be our next set of officers. And they've all gone to pursue more lucrative, businesses.
Not necessarily in the fire
Another
business.
fire department, nope, some of them are doing constructions.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of our guys have a second job.
Sure.
Because our schedule allows for it, but also because our pay kind of demands it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we have lost a few positions, and just trying to figure out a way to retain these middle year folks at 5 to 7 to 10 year. Those are the ones that we're losing, and we've put thousands of dollars into them by that point.
Exactly.
And, training and certifications. We try to offer an ILS level service, which is an intermediate level service where our firefighters can push meds to medical emergencies. So we try to offer more than just a basic level service, but we've lost 4.
And it's becoming even strategically more important because the hospital, the EMS services there is way short.
They're struggling.
And so they're depending on us a lot more, and so this is a lifeline to a lot of the people in the community. So I know we've worked on a marketing plan with the PD, so are we working on something similar? Marketing, do you think we'll be able to attract locally, or is this something we're going to be attracting outside the community?
Mayor, we have not, once this gets, if it does get approved, if the council approves it, then we would have a marketing campaign that went along with it.
Which will bring us back to my favorite topic, housing. So it's all going to be a vicious circle.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely, you can say something.
And I know that, it depends on budget and everything, but, man, $13 an hour, you can go to McDonald's or to make $15. And, these are men that are, a lot of them have families. And I know, I just don't know how, I don't see how they make a living.
Well, it's like with any other job, these are all entry-level pay. Is that right? $13 is entry.
That would be entry without any training.
They don't know nothing. And so with the benefits and everything the village supplies, but there's plenty of advancement opportunities. But I agree, $13 is very low. But that's one of the options that you need to, you can approve and look at. But as you do one, it all bumps uphill.
I know.
And as we've seen on our other pay plans, that we work to remain competitive and also solvency, to make sure that the guys that we're hiring, that by the time they're retiring, that we can afford all of this. And so where we're at now and what's being proposed
That's why I got
is this is
no lighting.
sustainable.
Next meeting.
Mayor and Counselor, the $13 an hour for a firefighter at the hours that they work is not the same as,
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to get Cheryl to explain, that it's not like you going down here and working 8 hours for 13. It's a little different situation. Is that correct, Chief?
Mayor, yes, we do get quite a bit of overtime, scheduled overtime. So whereas most people start their overtime at 40 hours, we start ours at 53, I believe. But we get scheduled overtime 2 out of every 3 pay periods.
And I want people to understand, they're not laying around working out, washing trucks and sleeping. The radio goes off constantly. I mean, I've been in there and it drives me crazy, and I'm already halfway there, so. But I know it's not a comfortable, it's something, it's a lifestyle you have to get used to. And so it's something that needs to, be considered and that we can attract, good people, good quality people that want to stay with us for a long term.
And Mayor and Council, I just want to add, they do run, I think you said 80 to 90% of EMS calls. The Saturday before last, Captain Sidwell, I was told, ran 14 calls on Saturday. And at each call, lasting an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the situation. That's, they're working really hard for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that there's been several times in my life that I've been really happy to see him drive up. So it's really, these people are very, very important, and I sure hate to see us lose good people to pay.
So I would suggest, be sure to have all these attachments
Yeah.
by our meeting of next week.
Because I can't read,
I
I
know they
can't
just
see
came in
that.
last night, or you got
Yeah.
done late last night, but yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, Councilor, we apologize for that. We're working on it as of late yesterday, so.
Well, yeah, we knew that,
Yeah.
but for
Well,
our
that's
next
what-
meeting, having that up.
Yeah, and that's what this meeting's for, to get everything to fine tune it and that it's better understood. And then maybe you can address some of the concerns and see what options those are.
Yeah, and it's, Cassandra and Cheryl did put a lot of work into this, as did the chief. And I think we just started this conversation a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And so, they've done an excellent job, but, we got those surveys in and then we met yesterday afternoon late and kind of worked it out, so.
So I can't really
We'll
read
get it
that
for you.
right. Oh, sorry. They read that, but, so that's only the new proposed schedule? So I just wanted to feel we could have a copy of the old, so we could have a comparison.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have that.
I'll get it when we get
Appreciate your hard work.
there. Yes.
But what is an average employee? I mean, have you done a median over their income for firemen, what they do on an annual basis?
We should have,
I can't read it from here, but it's up there in yellow somewhere.
Cass, you can zoom in on that.
I had to get my eyes checked.
But the deal is that the plan has the opportunity for advancement
On the
training,
top-
things of that nature.
Yeah.
Top right-hand corner gives you.
How long does it take? It must take over a year to get your trainings, or a couple of years, or 5 years, or,
Yes, Counselor, it takes about 4 years
Okay.
for somebody to get to where we want them to be if they come
Okay.
in with no training at all. That includes their wildland certifications in order to be able to fight wildland fires, their structure fire certifications, and more importantly, their EMT basic and intermediate.
okay?
About 4 to 5 years before they complete all of that.
And what does that pay?
That would be on this proposed plan. I would assume, Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong, but around that 1659 to 1810. And really, that's the kind of people we want to hire right out of the gate. We'd rather hire
Exactly.
someone-
Well, and it's just like the police department, we're hiring those people and they're paid that. They're not
Exactly.
paid the entry level. This is for people out of high school, people out of
Right.
whatever, that this is where you can start, but then this is where you can get trained, because we pay for all the training.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to attract the $18 guy,
Yeah,
and then pay him accordingly like we're doing in the police department.
yeah.
And so it's a beginning, but I still can't see, is that, say, 48,000?
49.
49,000, is that a median? Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, when you start to look at some of those positions on the, basically your line firefighters, you're ranging from right about 35 to 52 and 1,000 a year. And then once you get to the lieutenants, right now you're ranging between 62 and 70 on the annual salaries, and then up to the captains, you're at 82 to 78,000 a year. I should use those.
Yeah, I was about to-
Bring my glasses.
Okay. So if you'll get us the comparable data that was requested so that we can have them for the meetings. And then I would employ any of the counselors that have any questions, just direct them to the manager so we can get them answered. So you
Or
have
if you'd
all
like to come in, we could sit down and go over it as well. Individually.
So we'll have that obviously on regular.
Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
And then we'll have item number 5 is discussion on first renewal agreement with FBT Architects, which is also known as DBA Groundwork Studio for RFP number 2020-005 for professional services for property master development plans. Yes, sir, Mr. Griego.
Before Rod starts, that last item was a regular, right?
Right.
Everything's regular so far.
Good
Yep.
morning, Mayor, councilors. So this agreement is where we are currently performing the master plans for White Mountain, Wingfield, the Grindstone Lake. And this is just a renewal to keep moving forward with the property master plans that were identified in the RFP.
And we're getting close on Grindstone. I know we've had a lot of discussion on that, and I hear a lot of excitement from the community. So how many more meetings do we have on that one?
On the Grindstone, it will be presented for adoption during the upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
Grindstone,
But for the what meeting?
grinds.
I know
For
the plumbing.
Next week.
Next week, it's going to be for adoption.
Adopting the.
I haven't seen the final,
It's on number 7 there.
okay. And then I should know that since I approved this. Also on White Mountain,
Yes, sir.
where are we getting on that?
We still have to review the draft and to receive the final version of the conceptual map. We should have that conceptual map completed any day. I did visit with the planners late last week on some discussions on the dog park, fencing for horses, and reviewing the final layout of the athletic fields.
Okay, and on the fencing for the athletic fields, I was told by several of the school board members that aren't up for reelection, that the school said that they had the funds to pay for it and that they were looking at, so I think we need to talk to
For the
Dr. Bickert.
fencing? For the fencing?
And Clinton, those guys over there, and just see if that's
And
up for approval.
I did visit with, again, like I said, late last week, I did visit about the White Mountain Plan, and another item that was brought up is they are in discussion with the school's planners as well, because they're also, developing their 5-year master plan. And so they are, from what I understood, that they were going to incorporate our entire, this master plan into their 5-year plan.
Good
Yes, sir.
job, Rod.
Tim, where do we need to have that archaeological survey worked in this? The planners don't know anything about it yet.
So, if I could interrupt, to answer your question, I believe whenever we got into the design and permitting phases, that those would be required, prior to construction during your
They
planning
just kind
phases.
of reclassified some of that as a historic or archaeological site or something.
Mayor, Counselor, if you wish, and I know that you brought up the discussion, we can commission a study on our own, so to do a cultural and archaeological.
Well, I just don't want to see us get held up at the last
Yeah.
minute on this program.
That's something that we can take on
That whole
independently
slide is.
and put out hire
For those that are wondering, is this, over the years, been
Find some boats.
historical artifacts and things found through this area all through here, and A lot of it has just been trampled over and built over, but recently there's been more discovered, so we're just wanting to try to.
Mayor, if that's something that you all are interested in, we could bring an action item to you at the next meeting and we could get.
I think we should.
I do too, yes. Do you think, I keep hearing that the state's going to have a bunch of money. Do you think our local representative, would that be something we could get money for?
I can't speak for him, but yes, I'm sure we can get some money to have something like that done.
Can we, Zach?
Or at least request for it.
Sure.
What do you say?
Sure.
Sure.
That was easy.
Yeah.
We need to re-elect you.
Okay, thank you. So this would obviously be a regular item. So have you started publishing the plans that are going to be, to the public for the Grindstone?
For Grindstone?
Because I've had people that were asking, they've heard that we're doing this, or it was up, and I just didn't know if, I haven't seen the final one yet, so.
I don't, it's been so long since I even, actually, this plan is overdue, but it should have been up on the website, but I can't.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, is if you would check with our website to make sure that that's the proposed design that will be, so people can comment on it.
Well, and depending on what P and Z does today, we may have to erase part of it.
That's true.
Mayor, just going back to that last item where we were talking about the pay plan, I forgot to mention Judy, we did visit with Judy, and we do have the capacity and reoccurring revenues to cover.
Well, we pretty much assumed that because she would have started squawking over there. So I figured there wasn't any issue on it.
I just wanted to make sure I mentioned.
For the pay plan that we had, the
Pay plan,
recurring
there's
revenue
funding.
to cover that increase. Okay, so item number 6 for regular item.
Number 5.
Number 5, I'm sorry, number 5.
I was just going to say consent since it's a renewal.
Okay, y'all want to do consent?
I mean, that's just my opinion. It's our first renewal.
Your consent.
And then we will be discussing the Grindstone in
That's
detail
on that. Yeah,
on number 7.
That'll be a regular item.
All right? Got it? Ron, you got it? Okay, item number 6 is discussion on Parks and Recreation Department additional budget request totaling $65,884. And go ahead, Rodney.
Mayor and councilors, so there's a total of 3 broad projects that had been presented to me over during the past few months of items that the community would like to address. One of them is the resurfacing of the White Mountain tennis courts. A second, and both the resurfacing of the tennis courts and the basketball courts are kind of regular maintenance items, but due to the way that we, prepared the budget last year, it just wasn't an item that we requested funding for. We were requesting that at this time. I think we're in a little different situation than we were at budget preparation time. And so both the tennis courts and the basketball courts are in need of resurfacing. It's been around 5 years for each of them, and it's just your courts are to be maintenanced every 3 to 5 years, depending on weather and how they hold up and their due.
And these are the ones over by the fire station and the ones here?
It's just for the one set of tennis courts at White Mountain and the basketball court near Kids Connection. The tennis courts at Schoolhouse Park, at least the east set of courts, was resurfaced within the last 5 years.
Okay, and then you're going to have some mapping and whatnot?
Yes, sir, and the third project is
Wayfinding.
for a wayfinding plan that will be coordinated along with the previously approved wayfinding plan for Main Street. And I'd just like to talk about that a little further, just to tell you how it relates. So the Ruidoso Main Street Association has an ongoing plan that has been initiated where they use some service, technical programs from the state to provide a wayfinding plan. We'll coordinate our plan to coincide with that, so we have uniform signage throughout, not just in Midtown, but throughout the community, directing visitors to, like in Midtown, it would be to parking, to restrooms, to outdoor recreation sites outside the district. And then the wayfinding plan that I would be working on, again, would have uniform signage that continues to work outside the district, again, continuing to direct people to outdoor recreation assets and neighboring tourism and cultural sites. And so our wayfinding plan would give people, direct them to Mescalero, to Lincoln, Fort Stanton, and surrounding areas, as well as the amenities in Ruidoso.
And with us living here, we don't realize
Yeah.
until you talk to people that come in the community, it's a little harder to get around than.
Right. We have tackled a few of the minor, some of that, like Grindstone Lake, but that's another one that for years, people have a hard time finding it. We have put up a few signs, but this would be a comprehensive, look at all of our roads and lodging areas and get out the complete mapping.
And I noticed in the budget, there's money set aside for public engagement, so this would be similar what they're doing at Grindstone and what they did at Wingfield, and they've done at different ones to engage the public and
Yep.
things of that nature.
And we'll have, we'll engage the Main Street, the local businesses, Forest Service, any other partners who are important part of that signage plan, to include all of them.
And the Wingfield House, of course.
Yes, of course. And what was the budget already for the wayfinding plan?
So we received a proposal from Groundwork Studios. I don't have the exact number offhand. It's around $37,000. That is included in the total. Those three projects combined is that $65,800.
And I understand that, and it says $40,120 for the wayfinding plan, but then it says these funds will be an addition to those already budgeted for the Midtown Way Fund.
Right.
So,
There's two
Yes.
different projects.
okay, yeah, so what is that first, 30? That's the 30,000.
Mayor, Councilor Salas, in the, I don't know if it was in the original budget or one of the budget amendments, there was $30,000
Okay.
appropriated for the Midtown Wayfinding project.
I kind of remember that, I just
Yeah.
forgot how much it was that we budgeted that for.
And then our choice is either general fund or the CARES Act money that we received that was basically a windfall. We could pull it from that, or what was the other option?
Cash reserve.
Cash reserve.
Or increased revenues.
Increase the, yeah. So we'll need to make a decision by next week on
The
where we
funding
wanna-
source.
Mhm. And be sure and remind us how much money we have left in the CARES Act refund and those things.
Mayor, we discussed this at the internal finance, but the CARES Act money's been expended and reimbursed, so that's really just cash balance right now.
Okay, so it's in cash balance.
Yes.
And I would like to mention, so I did have a meeting with Groundwork Studios and Kendra to review and kind of, so we are coordinating our efforts. And I did get, it was clarified that the technical services that the state provides for the Main Street organizations is, that will not, any of that funding that was previously approved, the 30,000, is, that's all covered by the state. And so their 30,000 will actually be applied towards the purchase and installation of the signage that is recommended out of their plan.
Any other questions?
Mayor, Rodney, I think it's very important that the wayfinding sign is consistent. Not having
Yes.
two different types of,
And I think that's what you said, that
Yes,
it's
sir.
all going to be done like, the same, similar.
right, but he was saying that the Main Street organization is going to do the consultation, so that means that they're hiring their own planner that will be making their proposal.
That is correct, that they do have their own planner, but it just so happens that.
Same planner.
Amy Bell from Groundwork Studios is the technical director for the Main Street. So it's from the same company.
We'll just need to make sure. Okay, so discussion or regular, you want regular or consent?
I think regular.
Regular. Item number 7, and I was confused. In my mind, I was talking about Wingfield Park.
I kind of.
Y'all were talking about
Amy
Grindstone.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I was thinking about Wingfield Park because that's the one I'm getting all the calls on. So we're ways out on Wingfield Park.
Yes, we still have a couple months, and
Yeah.
Wingfield Park, we just did finish an additional public comment period. We had it posted on the village website, on social media, and we did place door hangers on all of the adjoining homes or neighboring homes. We did just receive a handful of comments, but I did forward those to the planner, and those will be incorporated.
Thank you. Item number 7 is discussion on Grindstone Canyon and the Reservoir Master Plan.
Yes, sir. So this is the final version that incorporated the notes from a previous council meeting where the plan was presented, as well as notes from village staff.
Okay? Any other questions on this one for Grindstone?
So this 74,000, it's not a year, it's for the whole planning, right?
Yes, that was for the entire plan, which has been undergoing for the past year and a half.
Okay. And so we just pay for it all at once?
We pay for it as they submit pay requests, as they progress
Got it.
through the plan, and
Okay.
I believe they're probably the majority of the way through
Okay.
that fund.
Isn't that right, Judy?
Yes.
Okay?
I did have a question on drainage basin number 7, I guess for Eric. Where exactly, I was looking on the map, I couldn't find, because how it described it on the upstream area of the lake, and that's where I'm thinking it's by the cliffs going up that way, right? Or is that by the rock down?
I'll have to look it up, and I can talk about it at the regular meeting.
Okay, so yeah, just because I'll have that question on there, because it talks about the culvert, and that's where I was assuming it's going back up in there, and then I forgot how much property we have before it becomes forest, because I'm trying to avoid anything to get into forest land if we're building this retaining area drainage.
So all of the improvements have been planned out on village.
On village property.
Been cognizant of that.
Okay. Because in this paragraph, the pond is serving as a silting basin that slows stormwater. I understand all that, but then it appears there's a 30-inch culvert that's undersized for the bay, and that's where I was trying to figure out where was that? I don't remember the culvert up there.
There's a few of them, and a couple of the drainages that come off the adjoining property.
Now, yeah, I know on that part, but I'm assuming this one is, because this is at the headwaters, is how it describes
Well, the
it.
headwaters is the filler from the Ruidoso, isn't that
Well,
right?
There's
The
a
other one's not
stream,
much of
it's
a,
more of a drainage.
yeah, it doesn't run very, I've been up there a couple of times when it was actually it was wet,
Right.
but, because there's not much of a watershed there.
So, Councilor Salas, are you talking about the western portion of the reservoir? Or
Yes,
the southern
the
portion?
western portion.
Yeah, so the roadway that crosses there has an undersized culvert, and that's why we're having erosion issues with that. So we want to upsize that to be a larger size, so we don't have those maintenance issues.
Right.
Seen. And a lot of that erosion has occurred more recently as the reservoir's been higher, because with the higher levels that we saw in there, it actually is up to that culvert and that road crossing.
Okay.
And the concrete support, is that down from that culvert or is it up? I can't remember. Where there's concrete there?
The weirs,
Yes,
that's upstream of that.
upstream, okay. I couldn't remember. Okay. So what do you want this one on?
On regular,
Regular?
because it's
Okay.
the final, right? This is
Yes.
it, so.
Item number 8.
Thank you, Eric.
Discussion on third renewal agreement with High Mountain Concessionaire LLC to operate concessions at Grindstone Lake. This is the third and final before we go back out, correct?
Yes, sir. As mentioned, it's the third renewal. It would be for operation for the upcoming or next year's season. We're trying to put our agreements a little early, so.
Yeah, so they have time to, because I know other people have wanted to bid, but they said it always comes up in the summer, and so. Any concerns?
No, after each season, we have a recap meeting with the vendor, which we've had that already. There were some minor, I wouldn't really say issues, but some things, we talked about on reporting of the revenue, providing the report with the payment and submitting the payment, because the payment is due 5 days after the beginning of the following month. Just a couple minor things of having the payment in on time. They did have a down year this year, but it seemed like we had a down year period. Even the Whibbit was slower.
Because of the rain.
Another item, large item that we requested was them to update their fleet, because it's been a few years of wear and tear on the fleet that they have. And we actually happened to have one complaint from a customer about the condition of their fleet, but.
Okay, and it's all current with GRT payments and things of
Yes.
that nature, and so you've actually done a review of the accounting and audit?
We have not audited it. We have received all of the
receipts.
payments and the reports that they submit along with that.
Mayor? Rodney, what about, did you kind of go over about maybe having an adult there instead of all kids?
Yes, we not only had that discussion at the end of the year, but we did have it in season. Technically, what do you consider an adult? And so, I asked that because they were employing some young adults that were 21 and then the sister of one that was out of school, that's over 18. And we did have that discussion with them because, just people aren't, the general public isn't aware. They show up and they think it's a bunch of.
Kids.
Well, I did have several complaints about having young teenagers that maybe weren't acting quite right.
Appropriately.
We have had that, we did have that discussion with them. I kind of monitor that myself even when I'm around there, and I know Manager Dodge does as well. And so it is something that was brought up on a few occasions through the summer about staff and the way they're handling themselves, about having an appropriate aged manager there. And yes, we did address that again in the recap of the year.
Okay.
But I do appreciate the oversight because we had some things that happened that were obviously way over age that, you didn't make a mistake looking at this individual, and that was addressed. So
Right.
I appreciate the oversight on that and responding to any questions or concerns that the public did have. So I know this doesn't really have anything to do with the other, but when is the Alto contract going to come up?
I'll have to submit that, and I don't know why I overlooked that.
Well, because it
But we're
should be.
still way ahead, of
Yeah, I mean,
schedule.
that's a new one, but we need to get it early in the season too, so.
I will submit that in, next month for renewal. And then, on a side note, you had asked this question the other day. I just got an email confirmation that, New Mexico Department and Game and Fish did award the Kids Pond official designation.
Oh, they did?
Oh, good.
And so, I'll be working with them in the next, couple months to prepare all the signage and rules and regulations for that, as well as coordinating access for them to stock the pond. But that will be in the next year's regulations, and it'll be added to their stocking schedule.
How do you figure they're going to have access? Will it be off the dam?
Actually, probably through our property, through the newly acquired,
Oh, down?
the business there.
From the building right there.
Because it gets pretty wicked there too, so soft.
Typically, and they can stock with, they put like
Long
chutes on the
chutes.
edge, yes, sir. And I think that's probably the best location, but I haven't visited with them yet. I did reach out to them and tell them that we need to get together to visit the site, and then, for them to submit me the rules so I can order the signage.
Okay.
Mayor, I just wanted to, state, Rodney talked about it being a slow year, but even with it being a slow year, our expenditures are right about $80,000 of the operations, for the public-private partnership and our other operations, but our net profit was right about 170,000 approximately. So it was still a very viable operation for us.
And then out of that, we do a little partnership with the forestry and,
Right?
Yep.
And we get, and with the watershed and
okay.
And
so good
Parks and
job.
Rec takes their cut.
parks.
Rodney always gets his share. All right, thank you. So did we want that one on consent or regular? Consent, since it's third renewal?
Yep, that's what I would say.
Okay, consent. Thank you. Item number 9, discussion on second renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Armstrong Consultants LLC for on-call services at the Sierra Blanca Regional Airport. And we have Senor Austin and Joe with us today. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Morning. The second renewal agreement that we have for Armstrong Consultants, it's going to be renewed so that we can continue our project and research.
Can you hear him, Dr. Jackson?
He's coming through fine, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
The second renewal for Armstrong Consultants is going to allow us to keep working on the project for resurfacing runway 1230 and taxiway Bravo. As of right now, nothing has changed on this agreement.
Okay. Any questions?
Not on that one.
What do you want? Consent? Okay, we'll have it on consent. And then y'all are working on some names for people. Okay, just let me know when we have them, and I want to just visit with them all.
Okay. Would you like that before the next meeting?
That would be great if we could.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay. Item number 10 is discussion on second renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and Gary Felker for land lease for the Sierra Blanca Regional Airport.
Pardon me.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this agreement with Gary Felker, not much has changed on this except for the CPI increase. With that being said, it was only some cents. These two agreements, they haven't opted in to collect water, so nothing's changed there. It's all still going to be the same. And the agreement is just for them to occupy those hangars for the next term.
Okay. Questions?
Consent?
Consent? Okay. Item number 11 is discussion on second renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Stephen Fleming for land lease at Sierra Blanca Regional Airport.
Consent.
Consent?
Yep.
Okay. All
Are we
right.
still having Zach review all
Yes.
these? Okay.
And then we still need to have a review on the what's not occupation, I guess it's occupation, people living out there, and occupancies, and reviewed with Zach to find out, is that in there, but the council should know what is allowed in that contract and what's not after that little thing that happened out there. And I was told that we had a garage sale out there, is that true? Okay, they said on a Saturday that somebody was having a garage sale a couple of Saturdays ago, so I don't know if that was true or not,
In
but,
the hangar?
yeah,
I haven't seen that, none of our staff up there made us aware of that.
okay.
Mayor, Joe, can you talk a little bit about the pricing on the fuel, just because I did get some correspondence, and that way if the council gets any questions, they're aware?
Yes, Manager Dodge, so we got a question, Manager Dodge received an email and question on our fuel pricing out at the airport. Our fuel pricing for 100 low-lead was in question yesterday. We actually got a new load this past week, and our pricing jumped up to $6.10 a gallon. Yes, it is high, but our price went up to $4.50 a gallon for our purchase. We have our profit margin, if you want to say that, at $1.60, but that covers the merchant fees, our staff fueling the airplanes, and wear and tear on the trucks. Within the area, like I said, we're at $6.10. Alamogordo's at $6.15 a gallon. Santa Fe's at like $6.05 a gallon. So we're in the ballpark of all these areas here, and anytime we get a new load, the price may go up and may go down. If we were to get a load this week towards the pricing, it'd go up another 8 cents.
We all buy gas at the gas station, we get it.
So that was a question we had that Manager Dodge received yesterday on our fuel. So we're going to get back with that gentleman and answer his questions on the pricing.
Okay.
And he did ask about self-serve and having a self-serve area put up, and we do have that addressed in our ICIP, which we'll be discussing at the council meeting as well.
Well, with us being our own, what do we call it? We do our own fuel,
FBO, yes, sir.
FBO. I mean, is that even acceptable for us to have a self-serve?
Yes, sir. A lot of airports do have a self-serve, but the way our airport was set up at the time when they put in the fuel farm is across the street and down the road from the actual FBO. We'd have to either move the whole fuel farm across the road and closer to our office, or we'd have to pipe fuel across. So at this point in time, it's not really feasible to do that unless we get money from the FAA or the state to move everything, relocate the entire fuel farm.
Mayor, Council, there are other options that we could look at we don't have to relocate it. There's ways of, setting up a self-serve type of situation, but it does take a substantial capital investment. And normally when it comes to those capital investments, the feds don't participate with that. I think sometimes you could get some state money, but you don't get federal dollars for that. Right, Ron?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, yes. The only funding available would be through the state, through the New Mexico State Aviation, in order to put a small little, a fueling station there on site, on the property.
But see, this is a perfect topic that our committee,
Yes, sir.
commission, whatever we're going to call it, will be able to review, and they'll understand why you have to have some profitability in there to maintain the equipment.
Yes, sir. We'll have your names, if not Friday, by Monday. We'll give you the names.
Mayor, in addition to that, I think there's a lot of customers out there that actually like the service that's provided as well.
Yes, I do hear that a lot.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Well, is there any point in spending a whole bunch of money to go to self-service so we can make less money off of it?
No.
Not really, depending, on the price, right? Yes, sir. I agree, it wouldn't be real feasible, but for these smaller planes, some of them come in after hours, which used to be an issue for fueling, but now since we have the fire department manning that 24/7, it's not a big issue with fueling planes after hours, so.
How do you have an off-site planes?
That's what they built it.
You have a truck that gets the fuel and then it takes it on site to fill them up.
Well, yeah, so what we do, we have fuel trucks, we have 2 jet fuel trucks and we have 100 low-lead fuel truck. When they get low, we have to drive them down to the fuel farm, fill those trucks up and bring them back.
Bring them back.
Got it.
The way everything's.
It's really only about a quarter of a mile.
I just couldn't see the driving the airplane.
Right, yeah. No, we pull the trucks up to the planes. is
Okay,
what we
I'm
do.
sorry.
That's okay. Come out and visit us. We'll take you
Yeah.
around and show you what we do up there.
And you need to change that one picture on the wall. I'm tired of getting made fun of.
Send us a new picture. We'll get
I have to get a new picture.
Do you have your picture out there?
Oh, yeah, it was put out there. They always put the mayor's picture out there and people
Those
just,
pictures up there too, so.
Oh.
yeah, yours is, but they always laugh at it, so.
Yeah, how many
A little
dollars?
sensitive is all I can tell.
Never laughed at you, Mayor.
I know. So, do you guys want this on consent or regular?
Which one we on? 11?
Or,
You're
I
on.
would say consent.
I would too.
Consent, okay? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Chief Chavez, E. Chavez. We have discussion on purchase of four 2020 Ford Police Explorer Interceptors from Phil Long Dealership LLC in the amount of $150,436. There's no applicable gross receipts tax through a statewide price agreement number 00-00000-20-00121, and for the cost to fully equip each unit from the Code 3 Service LLC in the amount of $78,674.92, including gross receipts tax, through a statewide price agreement number 60-60000-15-00032AD for the total purchase of $229,110.92. Yes, sir, Chief.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council. The budget from last year's, from the past administration, they budgeted for brand new vehicles. I did get the quotes later, or this summer, and so if you all look at in there, I've been asked a couple of times, it says for 2020 Ford Explorers. That's what was on the ground, is on the ground with them. And like everywhere else, they're having issues getting vehicles in and those types of things. They are brand new police vehicles. The total price that you're seeing there is for everything turnkey equipped. So that'll, we have the money in the budget to purchase those items.
How long do you think, or what's projected of when we will get these vehicles?
Well-
Granted that, that's what they're saying, it may be another year before we get chips.
These ones they have them there on the ground there.
They're
so we'll
already
be able to
there
get them,
and
pretty
ready to-
quick. So we'd probably have them, I would anticipate by late spring, early summer,
Okay,
by the time they equip them. But like everything else, the thing that's going to take the longest is the equipping of the vehicles because of short staff with the
right.
Code 3. So
But you notice the difference between 2019 and 2020 on four fully equipped Durangos, 204,000, and four in 2020, Durangos 240. So,
Well, since you announced this on the radio yesterday, we're stuck with it now.
yeah. So everybody gets the 2020, that they're available. They're brand new.
yes, sir.
So, and then, where's the money coming from? You said it was in last year's budget?
Yes, it was, well, it's in this year's budget, but it was proposed last
Yeah.
year, yes.
Proposed
It'll
last year.
come from the general fund.
Okay. All right. We'll have this on
Regular.
regular?
Uh-huh.
Okay, regular, Ron. Thank you, Chief. Then we have a closed session. On closed session, we'll have limited personnel matters. Then we'll have some discussion, maybe or not, on threatened or pending litigation that the village may be involved in. And then another item could be the discussion of purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property.
Mr. Mayor, would you like that in a formal motion?
What's that? Oh, I was just discussing what else is on the agenda, and I was getting ready to ask Ron if he had any additional information.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, on the regular meeting of the 9th, we do have on consent approval of governing body minutes. We have a request to schedule a public hearing We're waiting on a date on this. Judy's working with their finance attorneys. This is on General Obligation Bond Series 2021, and this is for the water infrastructure projects. This is for $1.5 million. So I'll be visiting with council and trying to get a meeting scheduled. Right now, we had a tentative for the 23rd, but we need to make sure that we have everybody. So we'll be working on that date.
Mayor, if that is a special meeting, there's a couple other items that, with the court lease and a couple other items that we need to address before the regular meeting next
And
month.
see if we can get all that information put on there. I personally will be gone on the 23rd,
I've
and
got a date. I've got something too. We'd have to do it awful early.
I'll be in Dallas. So I could still Zoom.
We'll get that coordinated, Mayor.
Anyway, if you'll coordinate it with council and find out the appropriate date, and then, like I said, I can Zoom in or whatever time y'all come up with, I'll be flexible for it.
Sounds good. Under mayor reports and presentations, we have the introduction new village employees. We also have a presentation for retirement, but I won't mention that right now.
Who's that for? Mr. Mustacheless? I bet when the breeze is blowing, you can really feel it, can't you?
Currently on the village manager's report, of course, we have the village manager report from all departments. We have a presentation from the staff from the airport on the CIP, on the capital improvements plan. We have an update on the snow removal plan from Josh and Adam. And then we have two public hearings, ordinance 2021-05. This is to enact comprehensive zoning and other regulations for cannabis. And then we have ordinance 2021-06. And this is amending the Village of Ruidoso Land Use Code of Ordinance, Chapter 54. And this is to help alleviate the current shortage of housing in accordance with the comprehensive plan. So, and that's what we have at this time.
Yes, sir, Rod?
What happened to the agenda item for the ratification of the change order?
It's not in there. Do you want to, I was going to visit with you about that. We need to put that in there also.
The change order on
Yes.
free matter?
I noticed this, yes, I noticed this morning it wasn't on there, so if you'll get with Bertha on that, and I don't know if you had submitted it or not.
And time, remember?
Okay,
For the rain.
and that's what I have. Thank you, Mayor. But I'll stand for any questions.
Does anybody else have anything that needs to be addressed that you can think of? No?
It's a long meeting.
Okay. All right. Dr. Jackson, did you have anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Okay. And so I guess that will be it until next week. And since there's no other business.
We did have a executive session.
Oh, we do have executive
And
session.
if we can invite Eric to stay for that.
Okay, Eric Boyda. All right. So at this point, we'll need a motion to go into closed session. You're going to need
How about now?
There you go.
All right. Move that we go into closed session for discussion of limited personnel matters citing 10-15-1 H2 NMSA 1978. Item 2, discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso is or may become a participant, citing 10-15-1 H7 NMSA 1978. And finally, discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 10-15-1 H8 NMSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session will be brought back into open session.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Ron.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Eby? Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Salas? He stepped out. Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so that will conclude the public portion, and we'll give everyone a few minutes, and then
We're going to be shutting down the
shutting down the
YouTube.
Zoom and the YouTube, yes.